Welcome to the Hey Mama Homeschool Show, centered around family life and home education. How do you get homeschooling and housework done? How do you help children who are struggling? How do you teach a rebellious child? We have answers. You pour into your family daily, and we are here to help you. Brought to you by the Old Schoolhouse, your trusted partner for over 20 years.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Hey Mama Homeschool Show. I'm your host, Christine, and I am a homeschooling mom of two boys here in Ontario, Canada, and I have the privilege of working for the Old Schoolhouse. Today's episode is sponsored by Oak Brook College of Law, where students are taught from a biblical and constitutional perspective and equipped to make an impact in the fields of law, business, and public policy. Learn more at www.obcl.edu. Our topic today is unit study homeschooling. How does that work? So we'll be diving into the world of unit studies. So whether you're a seasoned homeschooler or you're just starting out, unit studies will offer you a unique approach to education that's going to engage the whole family. Let's start off with some basic stuff, for those beginner homeschoolers. So maybe you've never looked into what unit studies are. So they are obviously an approach to education where you can have multiple subjects that are integrated around a central theme or a topic. So instead of studying subjects in isolation, like, just math, science, and history, unit studies actually allow families to explore these subjects in context, making learning more meaningful and interconnected. So in homeschooling, where flexibility and creativity are some of the key highlights, unit studies are a popular choice as an educational approach. So far from traditional textbook learning, unit studies offer families a dynamic and holistic way to explore different topics, and you'll get to also foster a love of learning that extends beyond the confines of a singular subject. So let's dive in a little bit deeper into what this can look like for you and the benefits that unit studies will bring to your family. So the first point I want to bring up is that it will help with engagement and interest-based learning. And if you talk to me at all about homeschooling, I will somehow integrate interest-based learning because this is what I do with my two boys. And it comes down to the basic question, which is, what are you interested in? This is you asking your kids, what do you want to learn? What are you passionate about? So by centering learning around the topics that really resonate with them, unit studies naturally spark curiosity and engagement. So whether it's dinosaurs, like my boys, and I'm sure all of you out there have at least one dino lover in the house, or maybe it's outer space or ancient civilizations, your children are going to have the opportunity to dive deeper into these subjects that capture their imagination and lead to more meaningful learning experiences. So the other benefit is that you're going to be integrating your subjects. So unit studies has the ability to integrate multiple subjects around a central theme. So rather than, keeping knowledge into separate boxes, if I may, unit studies encourages students to make connections across the different subjects. So for example, a unit study on marine biology, which my 7-year-old is extremely obsessed with anything marine biology at this point. You could obviously incorporate science because it's a science subject, studying marine life, etc. But you can also include language arts, which is, reading your books about the ocean. You can include math, so calculating the size of the different creatures, calculating the size of their habitats, the amount of water that they need to live in. And you can even incorporate art, which is, creating ocean-inspired paintings or craft items. I mean, if you can imagine it, your kids can imagine it along with you and create all kinds of things. So, this interdisciplinary approach mirrors the way knowledge is applied in the real world, which in turn makes learning more relevant and interconnected. Another point is with unit studies, you have flexibility and customization. And for many of you, one of the main reasons why you chose to homeschool is because you needed to customize your education for your child because what was being taught in the public school, or maybe you never did put them in public school, but you've noticed at home they can't have this cookie cutter type of education. Their needs need to be addressed differently. Each child learns differently and they have their own unique way of learning. So here's where something like unit studies is a huge benefit because it offers unparalleled flexibility and it's going to give you the chance to tailor your curriculum to suit their unique needs and interests. So, especially if you've got a large family, and so your large family and you're homeschooling multiple children with different learning styles and you're navigating specific educational requirements, unit studies can be adapted to accommodate diverse needs. So families can choose topics that align with their children's passions and learning goals and adjust them for their developmental stages, ensuring that education remains engaging and relevant. So one of the things that I did with the dinosaur subject, I got a course from schoolhouseteachers.com. And you can check the show notes for the link to that course. It's called Dinosaurs and the Bible, which was a fantastic way of safely teaching the whole story of dinosaurs from a biblical perspective. And that's exactly what I was looking for, because let me tell you, there is all kinds of variations of dinosaurs. And I knew I didn't want my kids learning that. So if you're looking for a biblical perspective on teaching dinosaurs, check out schoolhouseteachers.com for dinosaurs and the Bible. And so what I did with that with my boys, they were different in different grades, obviously, because one is 11 and one is 7. So I was able to adapt the lessons. So obviously my older son would engage with the activities and the writing assignments and all of that hard stuff. For my younger one, obviously he's not going to be doing much of the writing because he was still learning and doing, very minimal, very small sentences. But I was able to incorporate drawings and other activities that I found from other various locations and combined it and built my own sort of dino unit study. And he had his own little package, but he still learned the same content as his older brother. And that way that we could still engage in conversation, we could still ask the questions, and we can have those meaningful conversations about dinosaurs and the Bible. And it worked really well. And it took off the stress of me having to try to keep them engaged because I didn't have to try very hard because they were fascinated with dinos. And so it was so easy for them. Oh, we're going to do more of the dino lessons. Yeah, sure. Let's go. And I was incorporating books alongside of, from National Geographic, and we were watching YouTube videos as well, and coloring pages, art projects, all kinds of things. And of course we took a trip, various trips to our local museum, and definitely used that as a bonus to our lessons. And so it became this whole fun thing and so much less stressful trying to incorporate all these other subjects separately and, having to do it all together as one. So definitely this is so good for flexibility and customization, because if I wasn't able to customize my education, the curriculum that I teach to my children, I think we would struggle quite a bit more than we have. So definitely that's bonus check mark for unit studies in my books. And I'll just take a little pause here to remind you that today's episode is sponsored by Oak Brook College of Law, where students are taught from a biblical and constitutional perspective and equipped to make an impact in the fields of law, business, and public policy. Learn more at www.obcl.edu. Okay, back to unit studies. We're talking about some of the benefits from using unit studies. And another point I wanted to bring up was that it offers hands-on learning and real-world experiences. So like I mentioned before, we take multiple trips to places like the Science Center, and like I've got a yearly membership to the Science Center and the local museum as well. And I incorporate those trips into our lessons, and I plan according to, what kind of exhibits are there. I get the emails and I get the notifications, oh, we're going to add this exhibit soon. So I plan around that. If I know my kids are going to be interested in it, I definitely make plans for it. So, from field trips to experiments to creative projects, even your local craft store, you should see if they're, doing these special classes. I know one of our local craft places, they do little mini workshops for kids. And so I keep my eye open to those kinds of things, because then you can, if they're doing some sort of art class, you can really dive into, the history behind the art and read books about it and all kinds of things. And don't forget to hop into your local library too. They also do various workshops and special studies as well throughout the year. So unit studies provide abundant opportunities for hands-on learning. So you're actively engaging with the material, which makes it so much more interesting, other than sitting there and listening to the teacher, aka me, ramble on and on and on. They get to, deepen their understanding and retain some of the key concepts by using their hands and being active. And so whether they're conducting a science experiment, or they're exploring the historical sites, or they're creating the art projects inspired by their studies, these hands-on activities will obviously bring learning to life in a tangible way. So, and these real world experiences not only reinforce academic concepts, but also foster, critical thinking, problem solving, and creativity. And you'll start to see that, like, as they're applying what they've learned, and you sit back and you watch them, you'll see the light bulbs go on, and you'll see the connections start to happen. And then they're going to start asking questions like, oh, what happens if this happens? And oh, I remember this when I read about this, or we watched that video about this, and this is what this means, right? And then it's so exciting when you see that light bulb go on. And another point is that unit studies actually help with family bonding and shared learning. And this is my favorite part of doing unit studies, because we're doing stuff together. And again, this is one of the reasons why I love homeschooling, is because I get to spend my time with my children, and I love my children. And so unit studies have a unique ability to bring us together on a shared learning journey. And so even though they may have, time for independent learning, we still have that opportunity with the unit studies to come together and explore the topics, and have meaningful connections. And, we're making memories along the way. So we might be reading aloud, we might just be discussing some of the ideas that we just learned about, or we hop on a bus or a subway train, or hop in the car and we go on a local field trip. We're providing opportunities for such meaningful dialogue that it's only going to just reinforce all of this learning in such a deeper way. And because you are spending the time with them. And because you are part of their learning journey, your children are going to feel more valued and more invested in the whole process of learning. And so my my final point, which is my prayer for my kids, is that I want to foster a lifelong love of learning. I want to start building that in them so that when they get to that final high school grade and they finished it, or maybe they get to college or university and then that's it. They think, okay, school's done. I don't have to pick up a book again. I don't want them to feel that way, because I've learned that there's always something to learn. And even as I teach my kids now, I am still learning. And if I had that attitude where, oh, I don't want to learn anymore, like I'm done, I did my time doing school, my kids would be in trouble. So because I have this love for learning, my kids are also encouraged to do the same. And so hopefully, as I keep pouring into them this this idea of love, loving to learn, my hope is that they're gonna come away with a wealth of knowledge, but also with the skills and the mindset they need to thrive in this world. Because the world is not going to be the same as it is right now compared to when they're finished school. They're going to have to adapt, and that's going to require learning some more, unfortunately. So hopefully, if they love learning anyway, it's not going to seem like a bore. It's not going to seem like a chore. It's not going to feel like a struggle, because it's just going to be something that, yep, okay, time to learn the next new thing. So that is my prayer for my kids. So as we wrap up, I just want to say that, unit studies is going to, if you haven't tried it, I encourage you to try this approach, because, it's going to empower you as a family to embrace learning as a joyful and collaborative adventure. And I love calling homeschooling an adventure. I mean, I like action adventure movies, so that's the way my brain goes. But life is certainly an adventure. And by fostering engagement, integration, flexibility, hands-on learning, family bonding, and this love of learning, unit studies is going to unlock a world of possibilities. And as we continue to navigate the evolving landscape of education through homeschooling, unit studies stands as a beacon of innovation and inspiration, guiding families on a journey of discovery and growth. So my biggest piece of advice is to just have fun with it. Always remember that this, if it's not fun, then it's going to be, somebody's going to struggle and somebody's going to be upset and somebody, and then it's going to be harder to do. So remember to have fun with it. And unit studies provides a wonderful opportunity for you to do it together, as I mentioned before. And so, embrace the journey and don't be afraid to think outside the box. Remember, I talked about customization. It's okay, you can buy those custom-made unit studies, but don't be afraid to, tweak it a little bit or add your own little twist to it, incorporate those interests and activities that are going to really spark your kids' interest and help them love that topic even more. And remember that homeschooling is more than just the academics. Use these unit studies as a chance to foster that love of learning and strengthen your family, because that's the ultimate outcome of homeschooling. Not just that, they've smart and they've checked all the boxes where they've done their English, science, and math, but they're good brothers and sisters, that they're good sons and daughters, and they're good followers of Christ. And, the memories that you're going to create together, they're going to last a lifetime. So be encouraged just overall in your homeschooling journey. I completely understand where you are, whether it's difficult right now or whether you're, rocking it on the mountaintop. Keep going, keep investing in your children. I have some links to share that are on this topic of unit studies. In the show notes, you're going to find, if you hop over to the show notes, you're going to find a link for a conversation with myself and Stephanie Morrison, who is another host of the Hey Mama Homeschool Show. And we were chatting about unit studies and stress-free homeschooling. So if you want to check that out and join our conversation over there on YouTube, you can. So that link will be there. Also, I'll make sure that you get some links for some magazine articles from the old Schoolhouse magazine. One is called Unit Studies and Science. The other one is called Science Unit Studies Using Literature and Teaching Multiple Grades. I wanted to put that in there because I know what it's like teaching multiple grades and how stressful it could be when you feel like you have to have completely separate curriculums. And hopefully this will encourage you to combine some of the learning and to make it easier for you. So again, hop on over to the show notes at homeschoolshow.com for those links and more resources. And before I sign off, I will let you know what's coming up next on the Hey Mama Homeschool Show. Remember, a new episode comes out every Monday. And so what's coming up is organizing chaos, help with the clutter. Then we have finding mentors and creating support groups. And then we've got homeschool planning, simplifying the schedule, all really great topics. And I hope that these episodes are encouraging to you. We'd love to hear from you, so don't be afraid to reach out. If you have questions about your homeschooling journey or even one of the topics that we were talking about, we'd love to hear from you. And we hope that you have a blessed week. And we'll see you again on another episode of the Hey Mama Homeschool Show. Bye for now.
Our state organization sponsor for this episode is Home Educators Association of Virginia. HEAV promotes and protects home education in Virginia. If you live in Virginia or surrounding areas and are looking for amazing homeschool support, visit heav.org.